My name is Dave Jonsson. I'm 22. I'm from Reykjavik, Iceland. Currently reside in Vancouver, British Columbia.
We all want to fit in. We all want to fit.
I started skating when I came to Canada. I think it was like 1999, and back in high school, I had a group of friends that, we were real tight. And Slam City Jam was a massive contest in Vancouver, and like every May, there was a weekend where we'd all go and just watch the pros. And I remember a few years we'd hop the fence and skate the park. Those times, man, they were an accelerator for my skateboarding, just to see like those pros. And my parents divorced in grade 12, and I kind of wanted to just kind of leave. So I went back to Iceland actually, and I met a friend named Guðni Kristinsson. He was a real cool dude. Like he was a filmer and a skater. I knew he was a skater at heart because when I met him, he was injured. He had just torn his ACL, yet he would still come out and just film. Like he would drive me around to spots, and I don't know, like he was just a super rad dude. And one time he's like, Dave, I like skateboarding, but I want to fly. He's like, I'm gonna go to pilot school. And the next thing I knew, Guðni was like becoming a pilot. Guðni stumbled upon some website one day advertising how cheap it was to learn how to fly in Canada. And so me and Guðni in the month of May 2007 decided to go back to Canada. My dad was living in Vancouver at the time. So we went back, and Guðni stayed with me for 3 months. On the very last day of his trip, it was August 18th. We had booked one more flight. And so I called up my friend Elliot, and he had called his girlfriend Leah, and they were gonna come on like a sightseeing trip with us. We were flying on the path that we were kind of told to go on, but unfortunately, like there was a bunch of clouds in this one valley. Guðni looked to me and he said, "Hey Dave, man, we gotta break out the map. Like I can't fly through these clouds." And so I broke out the map, and we found another valley that was beside the one we were flying in, and there was just an atmosphere in the plane that just kind of, there's a still atmosphere, and I still remember it today, where it was an uncomfortable feeling of, for the first time I just felt Guðni was unsure of himself, and because the train that we were flying in, we didn't really know exactly whether it was safe or not. And all of a sudden the plane started to shake. And I just remember Guðni screaming out like, "We're going down."
The Coquitlam resident was taking a sightseeing trip with his girlfriend and his best friend Dave Jonsson on Saturday afternoon. They took off from Pitt Meadows Airport on a rented four-seater Cessna 172, headed towards Squamish when the plane crashed into the woods. The pilot, a friend visiting from Iceland, was killed on impact. Amazingly, Elliot was left with barely a scratch. Worried about an explosion, he jumped into action, pulling his injured friends from the mangled wreckage. The three survivors were eventually airlifted from the scene.
I suffered a shattered femur and torn knee ligaments, ruptures in my face, broken nose, and all of a sudden the doctors were telling me that I might not be able to run again. After a few months of doing like the basics of physiotherapy, I hadn't literally touched my board in 8 months. And I picked that thing up, and just being able to cruise was just the most amazing feeling. So life now, man, after the plane crash is a lot different. To be able to skate now after enduring that is such a blessing, man. It's crazy. Man, I've in all humility, I've improved.